What is up? What is going on, everybody? I am back with the Mariners post-game recap. Apologize for this getting up so late, but your boy was at the game tonight, so didn't get this done until later today. The Mariners do pull it out 5-2. We're going to break it down and get into it. Before I do, if you are new here, please hit the subscribe button for me and also hit the like button on the video. It just lets YouTube know that you're enjoying this video and other people may be enjoying it as well. So please go ahead and do that. Going to get some upgrades here pretty soon. Talked about the mic, still getting used to it. Got these monitors right here that you guys cannot see, but a new hard drive coming in. Everything's going to be pretty high key here. Is that the term the kids use nowadays? I don't know, but it's going to be pretty cool here. Should be better video quality here really soon. I'm going to try and do a live stream for the game tomorrow. The only problem is, so I don't have cable or anything. We stream everything like most people seem to do in 2023. And so I use MLB TV for the Mariners games. And when they're in Arizona, where I am, obviously, I cannot watch MLB TV because it tells me to watch it on my local channel. Well, I do not have the local channel for the Dbacks. So yes, I know there's ways to stream games that aren't 100%. You know, I don't want to say anything too much and have anything taken down. But those tend to go in and out a bunch. So I'm going to see what I can do. It may be a bit of a mess, but I'll try and do a live stream tomorrow. So let's get into the game that the Mariners win 5-2. For just the second time this year, they're now 3 games over the 500 mark. Their high water mark of the season. Pretty much everybody outside of the Blue Jays in the race lost. Texas lost. Houston lost. I think Boston won. I believe the Yankees lost. Did I say the Angels, Astros, Rangers? I don't know who I else said, but pretty much everybody else lost. So the Mariners, while they don't necessarily make up ground in terms of being 4.5 back, that's still where they are. They do make up ground with everybody else. And you got to pass everybody else first before you can make this a race. And all of a sudden, I think now the Mariners are 6.5 back in the division. Not great. I'm not predicting they're winning the division. I don't think they will. But, you know, they're clawing back into it a little bit. And you do still have 6 or 7 games against Texas and Houston apiece. So you do have a better opportunity there to maybe make up some of those games. So let's get into the game itself. 5-2, the Mariners win. As I always do, I'll start with the pitching and we'll get into the offense. I thought Logan Gilbert was outstanding. Against the Dbacks lineup that I think is pretty decent. I mean, you've got Perdomo's a really good leadoff hitter, takes a lot of pitches, gets on base. Ketel Marte is a good player, good hitter, as Mariners fans well know. Corbin Carroll, the Seattle product, is amazing. Christian Walker's got good power. Gurriel's been scuffling since like May, but still a pretty good player. I like Canzone a lot. It reminds me a lot of Mitch Haniger, kind of a guy that's kind of bounced around the minors. But has some good numbers. I mentioned him as a possible candidate if you do trade Paul Sewald to the Diamondbacks, and we can definitely see why the Diamondbacks would be interested in bullpen help. But I thought Logan Gilbert was great. Yeah, he gave up 9 hits. The D-backs actually had a base runner every inning in this game, surprisingly. But Logan was really solid. 6 1/3, 9 hits, 2 runs, 2 earned, no walks, 5 Ks. I know some people in the 7th inning, Logan Gilbert came out to pitch the 7th. I know some people thought Scott should have pulled him after 6. Maybe I don't know. I just saw that on Twitter a little bit and a little bit of browsing I had. I was fine with what Scott did. I know Jay's always fine with what Scott does. It's not that I think, again, that Scott's like some amazing manager that just pushes all the right buttons. But I always go back to like the players have got to do it. Like Logan went out there. He got the first out pretty easily. He gave up a hit to, I believe it was the catcher Herrera. And then Perdomo got a hit. And it kind of ended up being a hustle double. So he had 2nd and 3rd with 1 out. And Scott goes to, takes Logan out at that point, which I think was fine. Goes to Matt Brash, which again, Brash has been outstanding the last month and a half. Really, Brash has been fine all season. He's just been babbibbed absolutely to death with bloopers. Now, there are moments where Brash's command is not great. I will certainly say I think Matt Brash has the stuff to be the best reliever in baseball. But I do think sometimes that command keeps him a little bit shy of that mark. And we saw a little bit of it today. And of course, the Mariners throw a wild pitch, which manages to lead to 2-run scoring, as only the Mariners can do. It gets away from Cal. Cal tries to throw it back to Brash. That gets away, 2-run score, 5-2. He walks Ketel Marte. Marte's a good hitter. He's going to reach base. and then he gets Christian Walker, and then he gets Canzone to fly out. So essentially, Brash kind of did his job. I know that sounds crazy. I know people are going to look at that and go, Brash was bad or he didn't do a good job. I thought he did fine. The only thing he did, he threw one pitch in the dirt, which happens. Cal needed to just eat that and accept a run was going to score. And then, and then walked Marte. That was probably the worst thing. Marte's a good hitter. He's going to reach base a few times. And then Munoz and Paul locked it down in the 8th and 9th inning. Munoz was outstanding. I think he got 2 strikeouts, did he? Just the 1 strikeout. Did walk a batter. But I thought Munoz looked sharp. There's been a couple outings this year where the strikeout stuff maybe hasn't quite been as great for Munoz. I don't know. Like, it's so hard because you look at all the underlying numbers and they're fantastic. But I do feel like Munoz isn't quite as sharp as last year. He's been great. Like, I'm not complaining or anything. I just think that, and a lot of it's he's missed time this year. And injuries affect you. Not only do our injuries, which hurt and keep you out, you then miss that time. We look at Dylan Moore and Tom Murphy. Remember at the beginning of the year, there was like, oh man, is Murph the guy? He missed all of last year, essentially. It takes time to get back into the groove with major league at-bats. So, yeah, I thought Munoz was fine. And then Sewald locks it down in the 9th inning. Listen, there was a chance this was Logan Gilbert's last start as a Mariner. I hope it's not. I don't think they're going to trade from their starting pitchers. I really don't. I mean, I think it's possible, but I don't see Logan or Kirby getting moved. Maybe Miller or Wu. I don't know. I'm really not sure what they're going to do. I think this series is going to tell us a lot. I think if they can come out of this series with a sweep or at least a series win, I think they're going to be more on the buying side. That doesn't mean they won't sell some pieces, but I don't think they're going to unload the starting pitching. And I get it. Like, hey, it's trade assets for assets. And the goal is to get, trade those starting pitchers to get hitters that can help you this year and next year. But I'd be upset if they traded. Not upset. I would understand. It would depend on the return. But, man, it'd be sad to see Logan traded. I mean, the Mariners have a great pitching staff. I don't even think they need some bats. Like, I'm not saying they don't, but I do think the offense has potential. I think you can make some buy low moves to make it better. I don't know. We'll see what ends up happening. We could also be watching Paul Sewald's last few innings. I think that is far more likely to happen. When you look at the market that relievers are getting right now, I mean, Kendall Graveman got a legitimate catching prospect from the Houston Astros, and Graveman hasn't even been that good this year, to be honest. And the Astros gave up a legitimate catching prospect. Now, Yainer Diaz is probably going to be the Astros catcher of the future. So similar with the Angels, when they traded their catching prospect, O'Hoppy's there. The White Sox loading up on catching prospects, apparently. So it makes some sense. So I'm not like saying the Astros made a bad move or anything, but the market for relievers is commanding a lot. And Paul Sewald technically does have club control for next year that you could sign him to. So, like, I don't know. I think you could get a really interesting return for Paul Sewald. I don't know how good the bullpen would hold up without him, but I think you can trade Paul Sewald and then go get another reliever that maybe isn't quite as good, but you hope Brash, Munoz, Topa, those guys hold up enough that the trade is worth it, and maybe that improves the roster. I do think that is a strong possibility. And Arizona as a team, as we saw tonight, needs bullpen help. I know they ended up doing a pretty decent job keeping the Mariners off the board, but they give up a lot of hard hits. And they were pretty fortunate to get out of that, not giving up a run in that 8th or 9th. So a good audition for Paul if he does end up getting traded. And Arizona would be a possible destination. So let's go into the offense here. JP was 1 for 4, led off. The first inning was great. Mariners score. Well, let's kind of go over that first. The Mariners scored 4 runs in that first inning, fueled by a 2-run double by Cal Raleigh and a 2-run double by Tom Murphy that really got the Mariners going. 4 runs in the first. Credit to Tommy Henry for battling and getting through 6 innings. He did not look sharp in the first inning. I thought he was going to get knocked out by the second. And to his credit, he ends up going 6 innings for Arizona. That's big for them. That preserves the bullpen a little bit for the next 2 games. But the Mariners did strike first and got 4 runs in the first inning, which is great to see. Yeah, they kind of fell asleep the rest of the way. Gino added an RBI single in the 7th. They had first and third with 1 out in the 8th and couldn't score. And then second and third with nobody out in the ninth and couldn't score. The good news is they didn't need to. So yeah, I'm not a believer that teams save runs for the next day, but if you want to look for positives, I guess, save them for tomorrow. Not that I think that's true. But then they didn't need them. And I can't get on the offense too much today. I mean, 10 hits, 3 walks. I think they had a couple hit by pitches. Let me see here. Or Julio was hit by a pitch. So they technically, you can want to throw that into the walks. 10 hits, 4 walks, 5 runs. That's good. They're averaging 4.5 runs a game this year. They scored over their season average. Is it a little frustrating they didn't add on some runs? Sure. But they also scored 4 runs in the first inning. That's what's great about big innings, is that they can carry you to a win. It doesn't really matter where you distribute the runs. Like, if they had scored 1 run in the second, 1 run in the third, 1 in the fourth, 1 in the sixth, 1 in the seventh, I think everyone would feel pretty good. But because they got those 4 in the first and then only scored 1 more, it looks frustrating. Yes, the 8th and 9th inning was very frustrating. It's been great for them to add on a couple runs. But again, like I said, they ended up not needing it. So, and listen, I know there's been some frustration with this team in those less than 2 out situations. But, I mean, more than likely that they will score in those situations. Keep putting runners at second and third with 1 out and no outs. You will score runs eventually. Even the worst teams in baseball are going to score some runs in those situations. So, excuse me. Keep putting yourself in those situations and you'll be fine. Julio 2 for 4 with a single. The double was just stung in the 9th inning. It was almost hit too hard. If it was hit a little softer, JP probably scores. He was also hit by a pitch. So Julio reaches base 3 times. Julio is in fuego right now. It is so good to see. And it's one of the main reasons this team has won 3 in a row. It's one of the main reasons this team has won not only 3 in a row, but let's go back. I think 6 out of 7. Am I wrong in that they've won? Or 6 out of 8. I think 6 out of 8. And that has been Julio heating up. It is absolutely the most crucial thing. I know I've said this in multiple videos, but I'm going to say it again in case you're a first-time watcher or listener. The best trade deadline acquisition this team can make is Julio Rodriguez being Julio Rodriguez. The guy we saw last season, the guy we've seen the last few days. Now, like the last few days would be the best player ever, but just more of that. More of Julio having a series where he carries the team. Gino 1 for 5 with an RBI single. He did have an at-bat in the 9th when it would have been nice to get a run in, but it is what it is. Teo 0 for 4. Teo slumping. OPS down to 697. And it's not like Teo's adding gold glove defense in right field either. We talked about, is Teo going to be traded? Does Teo have value? Like, what would Teo even bring you back? And I know we're talking about a guy in like his coldest stretch of the season, so it's super easy to say, oh, he's not worth anything. I do think you could get something for Teo. He's got pop. A team that's just really struggling in the outfield or DH could definitely use Teoscar Hernandez, but he might just have more value holding on to him. Give him the qualifying offer, takes it, great. If not, you can get a draft pick out of it, and maybe he goes on one more hot streak this year to help you down the stretch. I'm starting to think that just might be the better option. Same with Ty France. Like, there's just no point in trading these. They're just not going to get you really much of anything. Good game for Cal Raleigh, 2 for 5, 2 doubles. The last double he hit was absolutely stung. 2 RBIs for Cal. OPS up to 740. It's funny how, like, these guys can go from, they're struggling and they have 2 or 3 big games. It's like, actually, Cal's having a pretty solid season. Another guy that continues to mash is the Murph. Tom Murphy, 2 for 4, 2 RBIs. I mean, even his outs were stung. And maybe the last grounder was a beat, a line out that was absolutely stung today. He's up to an 889 OPS on the year. Murphy is fascinating because that would actually be someone interesting to look at to see what you could get in trade for Tom Murphy. I actually think outside of taking away the Julios that aren't going to be traded, the starting pitchers, which maybe some of them are available, we don't know, but of just kind of the regular guys that are around here, the Topas, the Spires, the Teos, the Murphys, the Dylan Moores, the guys like that. I think Murphy has the most trade value of any of those guys. But I think Murphy is a guy you want to bring back. I'm kind of at the point now, bring back Tom Murphy. Get him a contract and make sure he is a Mariner next season. I know he's not the best defensive catcher in the world, but I don't think he's awful. I think he's just below average. He just mashes. He's a good hitter. DH tonight, make Murphy DH more. I know he's a lefty on the mound. Even against righties, get Murphy some at-bats. Excuse me, I apologize, guys. But yeah, Murphy just needs more at-bats. I don't care. Let him take some reps at first base. I don't care. Ty France, 2 for 4. Good to see. Couple solid base hits from Ty. Take it. At this point where Ty is scuffling, anything is a good thing. And the fact that Ty reached base at a 500 clip tonight is outstanding. Dylan Moore 0 for 3. Mike Ford 0 for 1. Pinched hit, struck out. Ford cooling off a little bit. Listen, I said it in a video the other day. There's a reason Mike Ford's been DFA'd and bounced around the league a whole lot. I do kind of think Mike Ford's one of those Russell Branyan types where love to give him 500 at-bats and just see what happens. His numbers are still fine on the season. And as long as he runs into the occasional home run and walk, like, he's okay. I have no problem with him still batting against righties. Cade Marlowe came in and played left field. Caballero 0 for 2 at the walk, but did have a stolen base and scored a run. So even when Caballero, and he had a really nice defensive play. I forgot who was running, and I forgot what inning, but man, he ranged way over to his right in front of JP to make the play. So the walk and the stolen base. So even when he's not going great, he has still got that spark plug mentality. And then Colton Wong pinched hit and popped out. Listen, good win for the Mariners. They stay in the race. They are making up some ground. They're maybe not making up the ground, the wild card, because Toronto's playing really well, but they are making up ground with other teams in the race. They've made up a lot of ground in the division. They do still play Texas and Houston a lot. So there's still a chance here for this team to do something. And listen, winning's more fun than losing. I don't care what record your team is. I don't care if you're an Oakland A's fan or whatever. Like, it's always more fun when your team wins ball games. I've said that when teams are out of contention. I'd still rather watch my team win. I will never, ever root for one of my teams to lose. Trade deadline's coming up. If any trades happen, I will come on as soon as I possibly can to do a video on it. And I mean, you never know. Like, there could be a trade tomorrow morning at 9:30. I do work Saturdays, so wouldn't be able to come on right away. But I promise if the Mariners do make a trade, I will come on and do a video about it. Not just in a post-game recap. That's any trade. I shouldn't say any trade because they required the reliever Thornton from the Blue Jays and make a video on that. But any semi-major trade that involves major league players, I will definitely be coming on here and doing a video for. Hope everybody has a great Friday night. Enjoy your weekend. I will try to be live tomorrow night. Just got to figure out the best avenue to watch this game and how I can do it. And I hope everybody has a great night. Take care, everybody. And as always, go Mariners. Peace.